My name's Chris.
And I am Kristie.
Oh, God.
Bonjour, bon ami. Welcome to Patisserie.
And this is the Washing Up podcast. I don't need to tell you that. You know that, one, because you downloaded it, and two, where else are you getting an accent like that?
Oh, oui, monsieur. Welcome.
Only here and Leslie Nielsen movies. They're the only two places on earth where you're getting those sorts of, like all the Naked Gun and all of those sorts of films. They're the only places you're getting those. Or maybe Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Where are you from? I'm French. Why do you think I have this outrageous accent? I mean...
your mother was an hamster and your father smelled of elderberries.
I mean, this week what we did was we decided to change from pastry to patisserie, so we decided to add just a couple of extra letters and...
Move it around.
They decided
Make it more French.
They decided that last week was such a positive week in terms of everything seemed to go okay that they decided that they just keep that spirit rolling.
Yeah, and then just...
Fuck it up at the end.
Oh...
This is the most... Okay, for a semi-final, and Prue brought this up a few times. This is a semi-final, it's supposed to be hard. This is a semi-final, it's supposed to be difficult. I've never finished a semi-final and looked at it and gone, I don't, there's got to be more.
This whole, season has been... up and down and barely reaching any, dizzying heights of mediocrity.
We need to, we sort of, I think, I'll say it straight up at the start here, and I think we'll deep dive as we go into it. I have felt for a while now that this show relies this year on Steph being brilliant.
Yes.
And this week, Steph wasn't bad, but she wasn't brilliant. She was just okay.
Yeah.
And it really stood out what's going on around her, because Steph was okay and the rest of them were also a bit
I'm not feeling passion. From Steph, I was getting despair and worry. She was really nervous. You could see her hand shaking when she was trying to de-dome.
Well, if you're Steph, technically you'd think to yourself, if this was a horse race, I'm in the main straight, they've all just come around the first turn.
Yeah.
I'm approaching the winning post right now and everyone's a mile behind me.
Rosie had a meltdown in the technical. Alice was all over the shop. And David just feels... I don't know if he's dialing it in, but I feel like he's...
David feels like he's got pre-programmed lines and he just presses button 4 in his head and the script comes out for the episode he's prepped for. And the reason I say that is there were a bunch of comments, they all did it tonight. David was the worst offender, but they all did it at some point, where they made comments to the camera where clearly the producers told them to say something and they've just gone, okay, and it made zero sense in the context of the episode.
Something's missing, and I don't know if it's because Sandy's been missing, that they didn't have that additional energy.
You can see the moments where she was really pushing tonight were the better episodes and the better parts of the episode.
Yeah.
Where Sandy was going to the benches and sort of stirring them up a little bit. But the whole dynamic has been weird.
Strange.
Noel Fielding's been carrying the damn thing. He looked tired.
He looked really tired tonight. And he even said had to go for a lie down. There's something's going on. It's not gelling. The bakers just aren't where I feel they need to be. This is technically where you'd see people in a mid-season slump before that re-rally. This is a point where you've got to see someone that is just who's been excelling, and this is where they're kind of their flourishing moment before the final. And
even at the end tonight where they tried to say that Alice will be one to watch for the grand final, and they didn't say that with any form of confidence or assuredness.
She'll be one of the 3 to watch.
Yeah, she will indeed. She'll be one of the 3. She'll be one of the 3 people inside the tent.
Steph.
Inside the tent in the grand final, and you'll be watching her. That's for sure. But and again, none of this is against the bakers themselves.
No,
but
lovely people.
But I feel, and we've talked about before in series about where you feel like people have been put in the wrong spot or people have been put in a spot not necessarily beneficial to them succeeding. And you just kind of feel like they decided they needed to talk it up again. Obviously, it's the semi-final. They've got to talk up for the grand final. So you get the comments like, Alice she's a dark horse here. I think she might be one to watch for the grand final. I didn't see anything in Alice getting Star Baker tonight that was Alice was spectacular and got Star Baker. It was Alice was very serviceable.
Yeah.
And they decided that the inside of the box that she made was the prettiest. Because the outside of her box, they absolutely couldn't stand.
Yeah.
So...
my Google just came on. Not that we're being spied on or anything.
No, your Google's trying to spy on us, and your Google's trying to report back, obviously, to Love Productions about what we're saying. So with that, let's get on to it. So we begin.
I mean, they just have to wait like an hour and it'll be up on the
Exactly,
internet.
they can find it all out. They can't wait. So, I mean, they opened again. Last week I said, the Sandy jokes have been quite funny, but they really need to, probably lay off the size jokes. And we open with a Sandy's car is really tiny joke.
I liked it. I thought it was great because it had that...
I like the fact more it played up the fact that Paul Hollywood's a carhead.
Yes. And I presume that was one of his cars.
Oh, probably. Knowing Paul Hollywood, it probably actually was one of his cars. And then everyone comes in and they've got everyone inside, except for Paul Hollywood, who didn't do it. But everyone else was wearing, Paul and Prue didn't do it, but everyone else did it, a necktie.
For poor Henri.
In honour of Henri. Now they all wore the neckties, but then very quickly David just looks at the camera and goes, it's bloody hot in here, I'm not wearing this. And they took it off.
It's like...
The funny part was that when Steph came in, she was wearing a collared shirt that she could have actually done the tie up properly, but she didn't.
Who would want to in the heat? She's not Henry. She's not insane. She's not wearing...
It was a sweltering 24 degrees in there.
I know. It was just English midsummer.
Can I also point out once again they set one of the challenges they set of the 3 challenges involved setting sugar glass. Can I just raise the point that why are we relying on making things like puff pastry using a fuck ton of butter and choux and sugar glass in a hot tent?
Because obviously the producers are climate deniers and don't believe it's getting hotter. They're like, records indicate it should only be 18 degrees, just a normal English summer. 18 degrees.
So Sandy was really excited over the dome tartlets.
Perfect for pastry and butter.
Really excited over dome tartlets.
Because we here are British and we believe that you can make butter-based pastries and, sugar work. I mean, we wanted to throw in chocolate work, but apparently that was too crazy. That was going against... This is what you get when you listen to those left-wing people getting craziness in your patisserie week. They just go, it's too hot for that. What are you talking about? Oh, sorry.
So Sandy was really excited about...
channeling right-wing producers.
Sandy was really excited about domed tartlets.
I feel like I need a big shower. I feel like I'm covered in Murdoch.
She was
gagging for some domes.
Squealing with delight every time they mentioned a dome tartlet. It was fantastically fun. They had to have a sweet pastry case, and Paul in particular was really sort of upping the French. This week he pointed out he wanted a bit of a je ne sais quoi. Now, I believe they cut back to the tent, and in footage you didn't see, everyone debated for half an hour exactly how you made a je ne sais quoi and what was the consistency of a je ne sais quoi inside a tartlet.
The consistency is bouquet. And I still love you.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, no. So Alice was doing a chocolate short crust pastry. And hers was mocha, hazelnut, and orange domed tarts. Mm-hmm. Now, at this point, we got to hear the phrase Mocha Mousse, which to me sounds like a 1930s cartoon hero equivalent of Mickey Mouse. Like Mocha Mousse. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mocha Mousse.
Here at Wizney Durld, we have Mocha Mousse. Join the Mocha Mousse Club, kiddies. And they have
Mocha Mousse Club, Mocha Mousse Club. Who's the moose with the caboose that's made for you and me? MOCHAMOUSSE.
Mocha Mousse. And then in later years, it went on to release like it had generations.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s, it was Sasette Tunicello, who ended up marrying her like Mocha Mousse love, and then she went on, to bigger and better things. But then we had in the 90s there was an explosion of Mocha Mousse, and there was Kirsten Aperol Spritzer and
No, I like where you're going with this, but
Durston Dumberlake.
I like what you're going with, where you're going with this. Except I would like to think instead
Whitney Dears.
I would like to think that instead of that, you didn't get the Justin Timberlakes and the Britney Spears and the Christina Aguileras of this world. Instead, you got Nick Lachey, and maybe you got Wigfield.
Chad Kroger,
Wigfield, and Nick Lachey were in the Mocha Mousse Club. Actually, it should be Canadian celebrities, probably. Robin Sparkles.
It's Wizney Durld in Vancouver.
Wizney Durld, Vancouver, for all your Wizney deeds.
Yes.
Wizney Durld, Vancouver. Actually, that could be good, because Alanis Morissette could have started in there. Forget You Can't Do That on Television. She didn't actually start in You Can't Do That on Television. Instead, she started in Mocha Mousse Club.
You should have seen it when she was just starting as what's that guy from Full House?
Dave Coulier.
Dave Coulier was leaving.
That's where their paths crossed.
Yes.
No, I like the idea of the Mocha Mousse Club from Wizney Durld in Vancouver.
Did you know they've opened up a whole new exhibit in Wizney Durld?
Oh, have they?
It's the Spaceballs experience.
Oh, that would be awesome.
A lot of Rick Moranis, Darth Helmet.
Look, there's never enough Rick Moranis, I find. I want more Rick Moranis in my Wizney Durld. So make sure you go to Wizney Durld in Vancouver. It'd be great.
Yeah.
And the Mocha Mousse Club.
And you want to get your Mocha Mousse ears.
I'm a member. You've got to watch out though with the Mocha Mousse Club. It's very hard to walk through doorways. You've got to go sideways.
Yes.
Anyway, you can't tell this episode had not a lot in it, can you?
And the amount of times I'm wearing my Mocha Mousse ears and someone goes, oh, what's up my sleeve? It's like, I'm not Rocky and Bullwinkle. Yeah. It's Mocha Mousse.
Nothing up my sleeve.
Yeah.
Presto. I hate it when they mistake you for a Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh. I don't mind it when you're mistaken for the elk. You know who I'm talking about? No, the caribou.
Yeah.
What's it? Oh my God. Oh, I'm so sorry, Liam. The caribou.
Grace
the caribou. I don't mind being mistaken for Grace.
I believe there's a Grace exhibit going in at Wizney Durld.
Wizney Durld.
Yeah, so Wizney Durld, Vancouver. Fun for everybody. So meanwhile, Steph was making a pâte sablé pastry, and so was Rosie.
Yes.
And they pointed out that pâte sablé sounded a lot like a 50s crooner. And then
who performs often at
Wizney Durld. Now it became the Alice and Noel Appreciation Society, where you feel like you were very good, and she's like, well, my family tells me I'm good. And Noel goes, mine used to tell me that all the time. And he goes, I'd go to a gig and I'd absolutely bomb, and my mother would go, I think you're funny. And Alice is like, well, I think you're funny too, Noel. Then we got one of my favourite moments of the whole episode, and it's not anything that's active.
I like to think that Mother Fielding is like Morticia Adams, he comes from a pure goth Adams family.
Oh, 100%. 100%, they're pure. So my favourite moment of this episode.
100% pure
Fielding. So David was using Aperol Spritz. Mm-hmm. But no sponsorship on this one. I don't know why. It's not even the B, but it's Channel 4. You can sponsor all you bloody well want. But they covered up the label of the Aperol Spritz.
Maybe because they want to sell it international.
And they just kept on calling it the Aperitif.
Yeah.
And then the Aperitif Spritz. And that was all they kept calling it. Clearly, the
orange liqueur last week.
The label is going diagonally up the bottle, clearly covering Aperol. That was quite funny. And then Rosie was using gin inside it. And then Noel and Rosie had their first of many conversations. And in this conversation, Noel looks at Rosie and goes, you know what, I can't believe you've made it this far. And Rosie's like, thanks. By the time he finishes, she's like, I don't know if I like you anymore.
She probably went into the tent feeling so-so. And she'd be like, it's okay, Noel will have my back first challenge. I can't believe you made it this far. Rosie's like, geez, that's really boosted my confidence there, Noel. Thanks for that.
So I've written something in my notes that I haven't even told you about, which simply says, and now at this point, Kristie will explain to the audience why Noel Fielding is sexy.
Oh, my God.
Because there was a moment just after this conversation where you were
Yeah.
just like, God, Noel Fielding's sexy, and I can't even explain it.
Yeah, like he just... things he does, like when he perches himself on shelving and on a fridge, just all the things that Noel Fielding does, I find really attractive. Like it's just, he's just, because the mind as well as the looks, like, because like I'm not attracted to conventionally, I mean I am at times, but you know, like.
I was about to say, go on, this is most fascinating.
No, I love you. We're a meeting of the minds. We meet in other ways, my love, in our hearts, in our souls, in our genitalia.
Thank you.
Hi, Glenda.
Hi, Mum.
We have sex.
Oh, thank you. but more importantly, I was more commenting on the fact that I'm not attracted to like conventional attractive. I'm like, please continue.
Yeah, like
It's most fascinating.
Oh God, you're like, is my butt fat in this? Like, what are you
No.
trying to do?
In fact,
here?
I would hope it was. I don't have a butt.
You like bring on the butt.
No, it's literally non-existent.
No,
People.
what I mean is he's not conventionally attractive. Like he's not what you know. What
He's no Nick Lachey.
he's no like Nicholas Shea
He would not have made it into Wizney Durld
or Durston Jumblake.
Yeah, he wouldn't have made it into the Mocha Mousse Club. No Wizney Durld for him.
No. But he would make it in maybe to the spooky exhibit as the Dracula figure.
I just wish that that Wizney Durld had something that was like maybe the Scooby-Doo and like the Mystery Machine and stuff like that. That could be cool.
It could be cool. Although Disney did do Bed Knobs and Broomstick, and Wizney Durld did bed heads and
Broom knobs.
Broom knobs.
different. You don't want to see it with children.
Yeah.
So I didn't have Yuzu on the game card tonight.
No.
Then Rosie used it, and suddenly I
Leo's
was
pissed.
Yeah, you can hear him.
He should have been out there just going, "Why'd you miss the yuzu, Chris?"
Also, just to point something out here. Leo hasn't said boo all night. He's waited till we recorded.
Quiet.
Actually, I did have Yuzu on the card. My bad. I did.
You did?
Yeah, I forgot. People were messaging me going, "You didn't have Yuzu on the card." I thought I did. I sure did. So let's go through it. Baker is inspired by a holiday. No, didn't happen. Outdoor shot of wildlife. We didn't get a wildlife shot.
Not even a squirrel.
Prue and Paul disagree about a quality of a bake. Not enough. They did, but they didn't. I had Hollywood Handshake on there twice. I was so confident. Didn't happen.
2 Hollywood handshakes, really?
Yeah.
Wow, you got tired.
Yep. Noel comforts Baker. No, that didn't happen. Sandy did. Noel didn't. We've had this happen a few times now. I've put Noel on there. It's been Sandy. I've put Sandy on there. It's been Noel.
Next time, host hugs or comforts a
That
Baker.
just feels like I'm
Copping out.
Copping out. I should be bold. Yuzu matcha. It happened, and again, Rosie went home for it. Booze and a bake. You better believe it happened. A baker says that a family member is inspiring them to the final. That didn't happen.
No.
I was waiting for... Rosie commented that she knows vaguely who her husband is, and that he's sometimes in the house.
I think I know what's missing from this season. Not enough family talk.
There's no family talk at all.
We always whinge about, they're talking about their family.
But like a little bit.
I'm doing this to my kids, blah, 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 blah. And this season there hasn't been a lot of that. And I think maybe we're wrong. That there does need to be a bit of, my grandmother inspires me, but a bit more than just like...
You know what there was, however?
What?
There was
Sexy Noel
talk...
Fielding.
No, there was something else. Do you know what conversation there was?
What?
There was talk about pigs.
Yes, there was.
In particular, there was talk about castrated pigs. So what I loved was
Nothing
that Noel...
like knackering a pig.
Noel asked if Rosie had fixed any primates. And she's like, no, like none of them. And she's like, not even an ape, no, not a monkey, no, not a gorilla, no, not a chimpanzee, no. What's the most unusual animal you've ever dealt with? And she goes, I've castrated a lot of pigs. And he goes, really? What? Really? Seriously? And he says, and a giant bull. And like you can just see Noel going, this is fascinating. And then he's like, when the bull wakes up, it's going to be, they're angry already. When the bull wakes up, it's going to be really upset with you.
Very confused.
This show is playing out more and more by the day. Like, it's going to be great. We'll get into it later, but there's a brilliant follow-up where Noel actually suggests the show.
Yes. We'll table that for that talk.
We will. David was then baking like a background actor.
He was.
You know why he was baking like a background actor?
Why was that?
He was baking rhubarb.
Rhubarb.
So, again, for those people that don't get that, that's what background actors say.
Rhubarb.
It makes it look like you're having a conversation.
Because you can tell when they're saying boobies.
Yeah. Well, you can tell. But,
Oh, fuck.
You can tell, but you're a seasoned pro at that.
Oh, I was waiting to see these boobies come out. Because, like, it's dough molds. It's wibbly wobbly dough molds.
I had a friend of mine who was in Home and Away once as a background actor.
Yeah.
I know people who are in the main cast.
rhubarb?
I know people who are in the main cast too.
Oh,
but
who
I
do
know
you know?
someone. I know someone who was in the background. And he got one line.
What was that?
And he looked like a junkie, and he stepped forward, and there was a bit of a scuffle scuffle in the diner.
Oh.
And Alf was there,
Oh.
and Alf said something to this guy who was supposed to be a bit of a junkie, and my mate, who was also supposed to be a bit of a junkie, stepped forward, put his hand on his mate's chest, and went, "Leave him alone. It's not worth it."
Oh, highlight of
That
your
was
career.
his whole acting career.
I went to school with a kid who auditioned to be Sally's boyfriend. He didn't get the part. But then I also went to school with a kid who was supposed to play the role of Alex Dimitriados in the Heartbreak Kid film. And he could be fucked getting out of bed, so he didn't get he got fired.
So he didn't get to bed Claudia Carvin in one of the weirdest films ever made.
Yeah, like, hey, look at this pedophile.
Yeah.
But it's okay because he's a student that's 18, so that makes it perfectly fine. There is no duty of care there.
Including, can I point out the
whatsoever.
romantic song in that one for their montage of rollerblading, which, if you remember, was the front cover of that film, was a song which featured the lines, "Teacher, I need you," and I'm like, there's nothing correct about that film. Nothing. Like, how is that film made? How did it launch Claudia Carvin? How did it launch Alex Dimitriadis?
Why did he even have to be a student? Like, why couldn't he have been
Another staff member?
Maybe the gardener? I mean, you know, the handyman, the groundskeeper.
A young
Wears
pair.
a kilt, has a Scottish accent, goes, Willie sees you, but Willie don't care.
He could have been a young guardian for kids that were at the school.
Yeah.
That movie works.
Yeah, maybe he's looking after like 6 kids, like his younger brothers and sisters, who are all at school, all having trouble, and he falls in love with the teacher.
We're here for you, Australia. We're fixing really bad, inappropriate films.
Yeah, and he's torn between, you know, spending time with her or actually caring for the kids that he is responsible for.
I mean, I suppose we're saved from the joy that is, this is the...
Why couldn't he be a young chocolatier?
We're
Who
saved...
seduces women with the chocolate he makes.
Now you're just talking about the plot of Chocolat. Anyway,
Damn.
one of the things that I'm really happy about was that film at least was just before the era that everyone was a junkie from St Kilda with a heart of gold.
Oh my God.
By the way, Claudia Carvin appeared in all of those TV shows too. Anyway, Secret Life of Us, anybody? Anyway, moving on. We've been watching a lot of old Bake Off this week because obviously there's not much else to do.
Well, it was either Claudia Carvin or Heath Ledger.
True. Anyway, so we've been watching a lot of old Bake Offs this week.
We have, yes.
Not much else to watch, so we've been watching them. And we've been watching that, and we've been watching some of the old celebrity Bake Offs and things like that from the UK. And there was a line that got through, and as much as we love Noel and love Sandy, there was a line that got through that with previous iterations of this show would never have escaped.
No.
And Alice turns around and she says at one point, "I need to get my domes out and hope that they're frozen." And that line, if you had Mel and you had Sue,
Yep.
"I need to get my domes out and hope they're frozen," would not have got through.
No, that would have launched 1,000 ships. There was that line.
It also suggests that Sandy has actually, we've been joking around about it, but it also suggests to me that Sandy has actually been popping in and out of set to do other things.
Yeah.
Because if Sandy's there when that line is said, Sandy Togsvig is running with that line.
Precisely. We've got a Randy Scandy named Sandy, who's also gay, who likes talking about, excited about dome tartlets.
Yes. And spends a lot of time talking about boobs. And would have done a really good job of that.
Yeah.
And like that line was right there, and I'm staggered they didn't touch the line
Because it's one of the things that she can do that Noel
can't do.
Like, and it's not because he couldn't do it. It's more that he knows
There's a line.
There's a line, and he can have a little chuckle if it's just one-on-one with like, yeah, nice balls, like in a kind of more 6-year-old kids sitting next to each other going, "Ooh, they just said but" kind of way. Whereas Sandy can take it to the next Randy level.
There are things that if you're a male host versus a female host in that regard, you can't do, and that's right that you can't do that.
Exactly, because he would sound like a pervy creep.
Exactly. The domes are being compared at this point to Scotch eggs because they're talking about. They kind of looked like Scotch eggs.
Yeah.
And then when they finished up, they put all the domes together. Alice was under a lot of pressure with her. She wasn't. Once again, Alice's timing doesn't exist.
No.
She also made really big tarts compared to everyone else.
They were huge.
Everyone
tarts.
else just made them the size of the dome.
Most people had like A cups, you know, and Alice has just gone, fuck it, I want some D's in my life.
Alice made them large enough that she had to pipe around the outside of the dome. And the problem was, though, that because she had to pipe around the outside of the dome, it's more time. And she really didn't finish them properly, and that was part of her issue.
But Steph's looked like boobs, and I was very proud. I mean, they all had some had nuts on top and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Steph had the raspberry.
You just finished saying online.
Yeah,
where are the raspberries?
And thank God, cut to Steph with raspberries. So I had to delete that tweet, pull it out, and go, there are raspberries. Steph saved us all. There are
boobs for everyone
and nipples.
So David popped a bottle open. At this point, Sandy asked for the glass. Noel just asked for the bottle. So the judging.
He's environmentally conscious.
The judging. They said it looked unusual, but in a good way. Paul Hollywood commented that he wanted smaller nuts. I think he was talking about the outside of David's domes and not just in general. They said that the flavour and the bitterness inside them was quite nice. Paul didn't like the look of them. He thought that the nuts were the reason was he thought the nuts were disproportionate and the colour was weird. Prue really liked the rhubarb.
Yes.
She thought the rhubarb was quite nice.
She's a big fan of background actors.
And they all liked the booze. Especially not the booze, no, not even about inside the bake. We're just talking about the booze they were drinking on the outside, which felt to me like a pure bribe. Rosie, Prue loved the colour. They said the base looked really good. The creme pat needed a little bit longer, but the flavour was good.
Yeah.
Alice, they said Paul liked the dome, but he didn't like the piping. The pastry was crisp, tasted really good, orange was good, and then Prue just basically says everything except the piping is absolutely stunning. And Prue liked the design. Paul thought that it was a bit like a lemon meringue pie, and it was a little bit soft than what he'd expect, but he also really liked the balance of that flavour. Now, at this point, David turned around to the camera and went, well, they're judging harshly today. It's obviously it's a semi-final, so they're judging harshly. I didn't see any harsh judgment at all. I think they were quite gentle. In fact, again, Steph's was a bit soft, and they went, but the flavour works, it's quite good.
Yeah.
David, they went, the nuts need to be a bit smaller because the presentation's a bit off. And that was where David took to it and went, oh, that seems like it's a bit harsh and a bit nitpicky. No, it's a presentation of a dome.
It's a dome. They're judges, that's what they have to do. They weren't being nasty tonight, they were just being quite honest.
In fact, I thought they could have been a bit... In a couple of cases, they could have been a bit more mean if they'd wanted to.
Yeah.
All this stuff about, they've been really mean this series. Again, I'll actually defend the judges on this one. I don't think the judges have been mean. I think a couple of cases, I think they've really pulled back.
You know who was mean?
Who?
The reviewers of one of the main attractions at Wizney Durld.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, well, this reviewer went along, and of course they've been to Disney World, been to, their things. Anyway, wrote up this whole big nasty article about the Buccaneers of the Bahamas. Was not a fan.
For God's sake. Next you'll be telling me they didn't like the Apricot Centre.
No, they didn't. They were really, really disappointed with the Apricot Centre. With it's a huge world, look at my balls. It's just...
I thought that had promise.
It did. I mean, it's a world of testes, a world of boobs. We've got gonads here, and so do they. It was showing that all over the world, people had genitals. You strip us naked, We all have genitals. Like, just get on board with it, folks. I mean, you know, it is a big ball after all. So, I just feel that he was okay. He was quite happy with Marsh and Hill, which he said he preferred that over Space Mountain, and yeah, wasn't a fan of the twirling coffee mugs though.
Or Graham Goose, who is not a big fan of Graham Goose, who, of course, as we all know, is
frenemies
is Mocha Mousse's enemy. Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're frenemies, aren't they?
And
really?
of course, him and his famous catchphrase, "You're not a nice person." So let's move on to the technical. The technical is, of course, a Prue technical, and what I loved was where she turned around and goes, "This is difficult to make look good. Good luck." That was it. That was her whole brief. It's difficult to make look good. Good luck.
Where's the morale? It's like they knew 2020 was coming at this stage. There was just fuck all morale in the tent.
So they were making a gâteau Saint-Honoré.
You know what they needed?
Yeah.
They needed a Wizney Durld midday parade.
It would have been lovely.
Yeah.
Fireworks at midday are something else. So a gâteau Saint-Honoré, which
literally something else.
Which is
usually twirling hot dogs.
Which is a rectangle, not your normal gâteau shape. It's a rectangle. There are two different layers. One of them is puff pastry and one of them is choux pastry. Now, at this point, I'm like, oh, God, here we go. Choux pastry. They're absolutely fucked.
Yeah.
Because we all remember what happened a couple of weeks ago when they had to make choux pastry and nobody knew what to do. And the answer was in this, they ignored it. Almost like they gave them all a crib in like, here's actually how you do puff. Here's actually how you do choux. And, like, made them go work on it for a bit and went, we're going to bring this up again later on. You need to get it right.
Like, need to make a V.
It actually felt a little bit like they'd all been prepped. I mean, not like they'd gone out and done it necessarily on their own. Like, someone had sort of gone, after that challenge, you should probably go back and relearn how to do choux.
There's possibly a bit of that and a bit of, you know, like, in the downturn between, like, taking some breaks after baking and stuff, there's a good chance that people who knew choux had a good chat and described the process of making choux after that particular...
I mean, you find me the person in that challenge that knew how to make choux.
Well, Paul Hollywood does know how to make choux. Maybe he went out for a chat.
It doesn't feel like Paul Hollywood is going to sit down with them and do that with them. Anyway, Paul turns around to Prue and goes, "This looks..."
Maybe Adam Hills.
Maybe. He was there. Paul turns around and goes, "This looks tough." And Prue, with my favourite line of the whole night, where she just goes, "It's the semi-final, it's supposed to be."
Yep.
100% it's supposed to be.
I loved this challenge. I thought it was a beautiful challenge to set, and I just want to eat it all.
I thought it was fantastic.
It's got two kinds of pastries and toffee. I'm there.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic in terms of the skills required to make it. Mm-hmm. You need to know two different styles. You need to know choux pastry, and you need to know full puff pastry.
Yeah.
Not rough puff.
No.
Full puff pastry and choux. Plus, then you needed to be able to do the caramel. Plus, you needed to be able to do two different types of cream. Because you had sort of the creme and then you had the chantilly cream.
What was it called? It was like creme caribou.
I cannot remember, and I was hoping you weren't going to bring that up so I could pretend that I knew exactly what it was called. Yeah, exactly.
It was a creme... Oh, shibuya.
Something like that. It's close. It's close. It's close to that.
Yeah.
David said that he wasn't a rough puff kind of guy. And
he's more of a top.
And then he sang a song of a TV show that I'm pretty sure nobody knew. I'm sure nobody knew what the choux people. Nobody had a fucking clue.
We got a lot of British TV here in Australia.
Nobody had a clue.
You know, we had the Wombles of Wimbledon, commonly. We had the Goodies. We had Super Ted.
Okay, so let me just quickly go through this. So the choux people, first episode was 87
with Auntie Hattie.
First episode was 87.
Yeah.
Final episode was 1992. There were 52 episodes.
Okay.
Right.
So maybe it didn't make it out here.
Well, think about it. There are only 52 episodes between 87 and 92.
That's a very slow animation process.
That's not...
That's obviously being animated in
Okay.
Britain by
It's the
British
first
studios.
series I feel bad for the people of the Soviet Union.
Oh, no.
It was the first series from the West to be shown in the Soviet Union and was so popular there it sold 25 million Shoe People books.
Is this what brought down the wall?
I'm starting to work out... Okay, but I'm starting to now work out why David knows it.
Why?
I'm working out why he knows it.
Why?
Well, his family's all from behind the Iron Curtain.
Are they?
Remember, he's been talking for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks about his family and all the traditional baking. Remember?
But I thought that was his boyfriend's family.
No, but he was also talking about his own. Like, he was talking about members of his own family, too. And obviously there's a heritage there. That's got to be the reason. And everyone else is like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
He goes to
and he's
Grandma's
like,
place.
massive Shoe People fan.
Grandma finally gets free of the iron wall, and she's bought a beautiful little present for her grandson, and it's a VHS on Betamax of the Shoe People.
Yep. So David then admitted that he'd taken advice on shoe pastry from Michael. Mm-hmm. And Noel looks at him and goes, don't take advice from him. He's gone home. Fair enough, too. Now, this is where we had Rosie's big issue. So Rosie wasn't happy with her first set of shoe and decided to start again. I didn't think there was anything wrong with Rosie's first set of shoe pastry.
They did look a little small, like they hadn't puffed properly.
But if you had a look at the ones that Prue made on hers, they weren't big.
No, they were quite small.
Because it's designed for the construction.
Perhaps they were dense and we couldn't have told that.
No, her argument was, she goes, they were thin. I'm like, but that's shoe. It's supposed to be. She's like, oh, they're really thin. I'm like, But anyway, she had 3 goes. And had a complete meltdown. Every single part of it was failing.
It was good to see Sandy there to support her, so that brought it in.
Yeah, and then Steph opened up her oven and was looking at her puff, and she looks at it. She's just like, I mean, it's pretty terrible on how much the butter has come out, but oh well, you can't do much about that. David didn't put anything on top of the puff, so you had to put something on top of the puff pastry to stop it from going nuts.
Yeah.
David didn't, and David's therefore resembled a footman's pillow. That's all I could think of was footman's pillow.
Yes, Lord Ebenezer, I have brought you your morning puff.
So
on this puff pastry pillow.
Alice's caramel was a bit too dark.
Thank you, Jeeves.
Alice's caramel was a bit too dark, but she hadn't worked that out until she'd already dunked half of the shoe pastry balls.
Yeah.
Then she went, I've got to remake it. So she ended up with a two-tone effect, which is really weird. And
an ombre.
God, it looked weird.
No, an ombre honor.
Yeah, exactly. It was weird.
It's an honor.
Noel was then sort of helping Steph work out which ones were the good ones and which ones were the bad ones. And my favourite line in that was when Noel points at one and goes, that one's an idiot. And then we got towards the end and they went, right, you're done. And Rosie, I mean, she clearly just put all the puff balls upside down, but the shoe balls upside down. But Steph looks over at Rosie's bench and just goes to the camera, I think she has less to worry about than she thinks she does. Then we get to the judging. David, they said that the colour of the shoe buns were quite good, uniform size. However, his puff pastry looked a bit soggy. The cream was on the bottom, it also split. Steph's pastry had lost butter, the bun colour was irregular, and the cream had gone a bit scrambled. Alice had over-whipped the chantilly, she'd split the cream underneath, the caramel was overdone. They said that the pastry wasn't quite right on either front as well. But beyond that, it was great. Rosie, the buns were upside down, but it looked good. The cream was good.
She just needed a blackboard there to go, it's upside down, it's upside down.
The cream was really good. Prue had absolutely no complaints with it, apart from the fact that the buns were upside down. So we ended up with Alice was 4th, Steph was 3rd, David was 2nd, and Rosie, after melting down completely, wins the challenge and was in this weird hybrid cry laugh.
I know that feeling.
She couldn't quite work out which she was going to go with, so she just did both.
Look, as a woman who suffers through anxiety and processing issues and stuff, there's a lot of times in my life where I think the world is about to fall down around me and then it's completely fine. You know what I'm having difficulty with now? The world is actually falling down around us. And I'm okay to be anxious. That's where...
It's the issue.
It's the issue. But just speaking of upside down, did you know that Wizney Durld, because it's part of the Commonwealth, actually invited different puppets from around the Commonwealth And Mr. Squiggle and Blackboard got to go. They had their own little exhibit at Wizney Durld.
That's amazing.
Right next to the Apricot Centre.
Oh, God, that apricot centre is wonderful.
Yeah, they had to show their balls.
It celebrates fruit from all over the world.
I mean, you'd think we'd already be able to see Blackboard's balls because... And, like, maybe he doesn't... I don't think he has any because he's a Blackboard.
Yeah, exactly. And Mr. Squiggle, we don't know what race he is.
No, he's a pencil person.
We've never been told what species. Anyway, we need to do an investigation into that. We'll get some people to...
How do you think he creates...
This question's going to be a doozy, guys.
The seal around his pencil nose. Like, he's obviously breathing out of that, right? Because it's a nose. It's in the spot a nose is supposed to be. How does he go through outer space with his nose outside? How is he breathing? God.
Answers on the back of a postage stamp, guys. Answers on the back of a postage stamp. If you can help Kristie out as to how is Mr. Squiggle breathing through his lead pencil nose, that would be fantastic if you can do it.
And why is the steam shovel so small? Like, what is his purpose? He's just mucking around in a sandpit all day. He does fuck all. Anyway.
Alice then turned around and said, they're going to be picky. It's the semi-final. And I kind of lost my shit at this point. They literally told Alice that she failed at every single aspect of the technical. And her comment was, well, they're going to be picky. No! You didn't bake an element correctly.
It was burnt. It was curdled.
It was split. It was...
just all the things.
There was no butter. It was dry.
It was less of a saint and more of a demon. Like if Sinon Honor, or whoever he is... Son Honoré had... followed Lucifer and just fell from the sky. I think this is possibly what they would have put forth.
They put a tie on it. It could have been a centenary. Anyway,
I think we'd have matcha and yuzu through it, according to you.
Anyway, exactly. All right, so let's get to the showstopper, shall we?
Yes.
Let's get to the showstopper.
So close.
All right. It was a sugar glass display case with something precious inside it. Now, there's something precious inside it. They didn't seem to stick to that. Alice put the fucking coral reefs.
Well, that's precious to our environment. She actually had a belief that our oceans are precious.
David put a fucking terrarium.
That I have an issue with.
Thank you.
Because I'm like, there's no story here. You've obviously watch that 5-minute crafts, or those people who show you how to pipe the succulents and gone, I'm going to do that. Now, I do remember Australian Bake Off, we had a succulent, or was it Jasmine? Someone in either Australian or Canadian did succulents.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did he watch that?
Well, it wouldn't have been Australian because that was 2 years behind. Anyway.
And so there was no story. Like, cacti are precious too. I mean, you can't kill the fuckers. I mean, we're all going to, cark it in millions of years, and cacti will still be going with cockroaches.
So let's go through what the options were.
Except my grandmother's cacti and cockroaches. Probably.
So let's go through what the options were, shall we? So we begin.
The bastards who bought her house cut them all down.
So we begin.
Yes, we begin the beginning.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay, sorry. Keep going.
So we begin with Paul talking about the flavours. And Paul says they can have any exotic flavour they want, from banana to raspberry to coffee.
Ooh.
Fuck, Paul. Let's really pick something outlandish there, man. And then David did.
Do you reckon someone tried a vanilla?
And then David did, and let's face it, he shouldn't have.
Can I just say, though, Paul was very specific about flavours, and who missed putting any flavour in?
I know. All right, so...
Do the instructions have to be that basic?
So Rosie commented that she hadn't really seen her husband. He's that guy who sometimes sets the kitchen up for her. And she was using a lot of choux and a lot of brioche in what she was doing. And her thing was about time spent with the family. Interestingly enough, Prue told her off at the end and said the only link with this is the concept. The bake doesn't link, but the concept links it. And I'm like, well, then it's kind of a link, isn't it?
There's a link there.
Exactly, but we'll come back to that in a minute. David, clearly a fan of The Office. Clearly a massive fan of Dwight Schrute. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica indeed. So David used, I'm going to quickly run through David's flavour profiles here because, wow. Beets.
Yep.
Parsnip. Prunes.
Is it a cake? Is it a salad? Is it going to go through your bowels at 90 miles an hour?
It's a vertical salad.
Is It's a stacked salad.
Forget
it's
a
salad stack.
forget a vertical garden. This is a vertical salad.
You know when they grill veggies when you in the and then
Yes,
they
a
stack
veggie
them up?
stack. Yeah,
Yeah, veggie stack. It's
Yeah.
a veggie stack.
it's a weird veggie.
We had a
stack.
dome.
Oh, God.
Had a veggie stack.
Oh wow.
Gearing up for MasterChef.
So Alice was making a coral reef in Genoese sponge. It was a 5-layer entremet, is what she was making.
Yep.
I mean, look, it's a Genoese. I know it's an entremet. It's a Genoese in the semi-final. We've seen those.
Yeah, but at least she
Look, her cake looked amazing.
Yeah, and she actually used some skills and she got things to set. So she had good time management and she had a bit of flavour.
Look, the benefit for Alice's was that at least an entremet is patisserie.
Yeah.
Like, it does count as patisserie. David's didn't count as patisserie.
No, it was a stacked cake.
We'll talk about the difference between David and Rosie in a minute because I've got some thoughts. So Steph was making an opera cake in honour of her grandfather, Derek Percival George, as she said. What a name!
Hello, I'm Derek Percival George. I want you to join me in Venice this week for our special Vienna and Venice
So they had to then turn around.
opera extravaganza.
They had to then turn around and
I'm
make.
Derek Percival George.
They had to then turn around and make the glass case as well. Paul said that he thought this challenge was playing to their strengths. How? They were making things that were personal to them. We haven't really seen anything personal to them. We were making a breakable glass, sugar glass box. What so far that they've done suggests that
Maybe
they were
because
going to
that's
do that.
not, you don't have to bake that. You just have to melt the. But you have to bake a bit of the biscuit around the side. But
something.
Steph didn't do any of that.
No.
She's like, fuck the
Steph's like,
biscuit.
"Fuck
I'm just
that."
going to melt the isomalt.
We'll come back to the isomalt in a second. Steph had a great line where she turned around and said, I've not made macarons in this competition. In fact, I've hardly made them in life. And that's the right attitude to have. Rosie's was what she called functional shoe. Sandy then called that a lace-up brogue. Fair enough. So, isomalt. Time to break out
smart loafer.
Time to break out the isomalt. I love Noel threatening to stick his finger in it.
And was it Alice just going,
No,
Rosie?
that'll burn you. That will definitely burn you. I wouldn't do that. That'll definitely burn you. And like Noel's there going, I'm going to do it. I'll put my finger in there.
I'm bored. I need something to wake me up and stimulate me.
So we broke out the isomalt. We melted down the isomalt. Everyone put the gloves on to do that.
Rosie bought her own.
Now, Noel asked Rosie another vet question, which was this time, what's the worst thing you've smelt?
Which is a brilliant question.
It was at this time that we sort of got to the point where this just should have been the show.
Yeah.
Like, Noel's show is just going to be ask Rosie vet questions.
And, like, Rosie, don't be prudish about it. Just tell us all. I'll tell everyone what's the worst thing I've smelt. Changing a baby's ileostomy bag. You know, a colostomy bag? It's lower down. Bit more time to process. Ileostomy, bit further up. The milk, because that's predominantly what this baby drinks, is all up there. Jesus Christ, it took us 3 nurses in, like, succession just rotating to change this. It was a stinker.
5-day-old urine under the stairwell at work where the kids had been pissing in a sink. Anyway.
What?
Anyway, moving on. Alice
It was a present left to me by a guy called Packer in my office.
Anyway. So they had to make isomalt glass, obviously, and they were using blow torches to try to get the murkiness out of it. Mm-hmm. And Alice responds with, well, if it's murky, I'll just say, well, that's a reflection on our oceans, isn't it? Which I like that as an answer.
But she didn't say it.
No, she didn't, and it was murky.
Didn't blow those bubbles out.
I thought that the only thing that I liked that David did was the box. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't like anything about the rest of it, and I didn't think it was patisserie. The prune cake on the bottom with the parsnip and then cream cheese frosting and then beetroot, none of that screams patisserie to me. It was just a layered cake, and it was a layered cake full of vegetables, and it was him being him, which is spiced vegetable cakes.
Like,
I don't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what he was doing.
why not make some beautiful tartlets with those ingredients and put them in and make them look like a vegetable garden or something, like, and say, like...
Because apparently when it comes to Rosie, that shit doesn't fly. So let's get through it.
Did they want a theme or not? Okay, get to it.
So David completed the MasterChef nature of the episode by chocolate soil. All right, so the judging. Steph, Prue said that it was like antique glass, and she absolutely loved the way that Steph's box... And it was assembled beautifully.
It did. It was
like
gorgeous.
No frame. It was really well done. They said it was very neat inside. It was very pretty cross-section. Prue Leaf just looks at her and goes, "You're a very good baker, Stephanie."
And just not enough box jokes. I mean, that was the highlight of my goth years. All of us putting our hands in each other's boxes.
And Paul Hollywood said, "Very neat, very tidy, very Steph." Second time he said that. It's almost like it's a new motto.
Yeah, you could say that about Steph's box.
But
very neat, very tidy.
But apparently, still not enough to get a star baker again. David, they said it was neat and the coloured glass was good. Then they pulled the lid off the box and they said that the cake wasn't level. It was a light cake. It was like a carrot cake. It was spicy. This is not delicate enough for patisserie week. It's not really patisserie. It's a cake.
Yep.
Rosie, they liked the glass style but said that it was a bit simple, which I didn't quite get because she'd done the frame and it wasn't that simple. They said the concept was good, but the baked goods had no link, and Paul's like, "I don't think there's any flavour in there." Paul seemed to really hate those cakes. He got angry about it. He's like, when they got back to the judging later on, and he's like, "I've really got a problem with those cakes." I'm like, "It's a fucking cake, Paul. Back it off." So Alice, you can't see much in the box. They didn't like that. Then they took it off and they said it was very pretty. The flavour was nice, although Paul didn't think that the flavour was actually that strong in the cake. Then we got to the judging and they went, "We really think that it's easy to work out who the star baker is this week, but we don't think it's easy to work out who's going home."
Are they flipping coins? Is that why they think it's easy? They're just going to flip coins? Because that's the only way I could see.
They made Alice the star baker, even though she came last in the technical. She came last in the technical. They did love her signature, and they thought that the showstopper looked really good and was nice. Look, okay, that's fine, sure. However, they sent Rosie, who was first in the technical, home, saying that there wasn't enough of a theme and they needed more flavour in those cakes. David did not meet the brief at all.
No.
And they said straight up, if Rosie's cakes had any flavour, they would have sent David home. Now, my argument is, if you're at that point already, he clearly hasn't met the brief. Shouldn't David go?
And Rosie got first in the technical.
David also spent a lot of time bragging about the fact that he'd done something, so he had a lot of time up his sleeve to make it look pretty because pretty would win out. And he spent of time. He spent a lot of time in the episode basically saying, "I've cut back on what I'm doing in terms of the actual baking because I want to make sure that I've got time to make it look great." So he clearly said what he was going for was style over substance.
And it was. It was style over substance.
And while Rosie's wasn't, I wouldn't say Rosie's was in any way, shape or form brilliant. Not at all. And again, nobody has pulled a technical out of absolutely nowhere like Rosie did tonight. Like, there was no way. Like, that's a miracle. But she at least met the brief. And they admitted that she met the brief. David's doesn't really meet the brief.
No.
And I would have thought in the semi-final,
that would have been important.
You've got to send David. It's a bit like, I don't want to go back and rehash old horrors.
Or Antonio.
It's a bit like Antonio and
what is a Bubka? What is a Panettone?
Exactly. Bubka versus Panettone, making the wrong thing and going through because they liked it.
But what really just disheartens me about this whole night, this whole episode, it was disjointed. Usually when you get to a semi-final, there might be someone who's a little bit weaker than the rest, but you're still like seeing one or two people who are just excelling, like who are bringing it, and the judges are picking between small things on the good end. This tonight felt like the judging was like, who is less shit? And that is not where you want to be going for.
And again, it wasn't
the final.
Contrary to what they were saying, that wasn't the judges being picky. That was the judges doing their fucking job.
Yeah.
And going, who actually baked what we asked them to bake and baked it properly. That's what they asked.
Yeah. I mean, there are times when I've been watching MasterChef and stuff and I've gone, okay, are our expectations and our sophistication as viewers, that has grown. Therefore, we're expecting a lot more, like from the first season of MasterChef to what we looked at, a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
Vastly different. This season of Bake Off, no, it is not more sophisticated. I don't see I don't see the passion there. I don't see people who are like, I love baking. This is what I want to do. It hasn't come across. It's
the only one who's felt like that has been Steph. And it felt a little bit like tonight was sort of the moment where Steph was just exhaling.
Yeah.
Like it was that moment of, I've been doing this for so long. And like she's been winning Star Baker for so long.
Yeah.
So the grand final next week.
Yeah.
Alice, Rosie and David. They're your three.
No, Alice, Steph,
David, sorry.
Yeah.
That was...
I'm like, no, Steph's in this.
Yeah, Alice, Steph and David. And Steph, again, has won the most Star Baker. David keeps on talking about how many seconds he's got in challenges, which is a thing. And Alice is apparently a dark horse. Is a dark horse an extra figure at Wizney Durld?
At Wizney Durld. I feel that that's the kind of like the villain that they brought in for the top ear character.
All right.
And his wonderful wife, Bran Oil.
Oh dear. All right, so next week obviously is the grand final. We'll probably also be back a couple of times between now and then with some possible other interviews. Hint, hint. We might have a few people from a couple of different shows actually lined up to have a bit of a chat with us in the next few days.
Let's do that.
It's not like anyone's got anywhere to be. So
nowhere to be, nowhere to go. You're coming on the show.
So plenty of podcasting for us to be doing. All right, until next time, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
We'll catch you all later.
Hey everybody, welcome to Wizney Durld.